Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on a Friday, where Arne Slot has just had his first press conference. He sat alongside Richard Hughes, and the two of them answered questions from the assembled media. As expected, both of them spoke really well. Arne was quite humble about his English, which is pretty flawless. Hughes speaks very, very well. Hughes also looks very, very well, as John O'Sullivan said on Twitter, not the Corbally John, the other John, the Galway John. He looks a bit like Pierce Brosnan. Look, nothing of note really came out of this press conference. They were asked questions about Jurgen, and they gave, straightforward answers. I think there should be now a moratorium on any questions about Jurgen. Jurgen is gone. He's no longer the Liverpool manager. And expecting Arne Slot to say anything other than, yeah, he did a great job, but now I have to focus on my job, is just a bit silly. Expecting Richard Hughes to give anything away about transfers is very, very silly. And as Hughes pointed out, there are two international tournaments currently ongoing, and there is the Olympics to come. So really and truly, it's going to be a quiet time for transfers. There hasn't been a lot of transfers in the Premier League thus far. There was those before the PSR deadline, which some of them were blatantly attempts to manipulate accounts. But overall, there's been very little. And it's amazing to me that I'm currently looking on social media at people melting down that they mentioned, improvements on the training ground, etc., etc. What else did you expect them to say? Did you expect Richard Hughes to stand up and say, oh, well, we're definitely going to sign 5 players in the next 2 weeks? Of course not. Richard Hughes made a point of pointing out that Michael Edwards is the best sporting director to ever come out of Britain. Michael Edwards is the best sporting director in the world, and he is Richard Hughes' direct superior, and he has the final say on pretty much everything. And it will be his playbook that we work from, which is to give nothing away until we want it out in the public, until it benefits us to have it out in the public. And, when you look back on Liverpool over the years, let's look at the years where Jurgen was in charge. And you think about when we signed players. Like, there's an idea that we always signed players early, and that in part comes from Jurgen wants to have everybody in before pre-season, which was a standard line that all journalists trotted out time and time again. Now, in his first summer, we did sign Joel Matip, Loris Karius and Sadio Mane in June, and all of them became official on the 1st of July. Jurgen had been in the job at that point for 8 months. Arne is only in the door. Hughes is only in the door. Edwards is only in the door. Certain things take a little bit of time. But that summer, we signed Klavan on the 20th of July, Manninger a couple of days later, and Ginny a couple of days later. So not everything was completed before pre-season started. The following year, Mo was done in June. Andy Robertson didn't arrive to the 21st of July. Ox didn't sign until the 31st of August. He was a deadline day signing. 18-19, obviously we knew Naby was coming. We had Fabinho done pretty much straight after the Champions League final. Shaqiri and Alisson weren't signed until, mid to late July. So again, they weren't done super early. Pre-season had begun. 1920, Harvey Elliott didn't arrive until the 28th of July. Adrian was signed in August. We didn't do nearly enough that window, but players weren't in the door first thing. Same thing with 2021. Costas was in early, but Thiago and Jota didn't come in until quite late. Like, the season began on the 12th of September because of COVID, obviously. Costas was signed on the 10th of August, but Thiago didn't sign until the 18th of September, and Jota was the 19th of September. So that was late into the window. 21-22, the only player we signed that summer was Ibu, and that one had been done in advance. 22-23, Darwin we got done. To be fair, Darwin, Calvin Ramsey and Fabio Carvalho were all done fairly quick. So fair play. And then last summer, obviously, Alexis was done early and Dominic was done early. But Endo didn't arrive until the 18th of August. And Gravenberch didn't arrive until the 1st of September. Deadline day. So we were working late into the window that summer as well. So not everything's going to get done first thing. There are other priorities. There's other things that need to be taken care of. But work will be getting done. It's just that there's a very small number of people that will actually know what Liverpool are doing, which is always the way when Edwards was in charge first time around. He's not going to have this big circle of people telling everybody what we're planning to do, because that doesn't benefit the club. Working silently, putting deals together, and making sure you don't get gazumped on them is the way. Like, look at last summer, it was a zoo. The Caicedo thing, the Lavia thing. Like, these things were all out in the public. That's not the Liverpool way of doing things. Like, when we signed Fabinho, nobody knew we were doing it. Nobody. When we signed Mo, his name didn't pop up until the deal was nearly done. Same thing with Sadio, same thing with Ginny. It was when the deal was almost done, then it became public. Now, last summer we moved really well on Szoboszlai, but it was a release clause. Same thing with Alexis, it was a release clause. So we were able to go to the player, agree everything, and then go to the clubs and say, look, we're going to trigger this release clause. And it might just be that this summer there isn't players that we want who have release clauses in their contract, so we're having to do things slightly differently. But when we hear word of a deal, I think it will happen quickly after that. There's no doubt we're working on stuff. We're probably still working on Lenny Yoro, because Real, despite some spoofing, Real haven't really made a move there yet. Like, they haven't approached Lille, according to French journalists. Whether they've agreed terms with Euro or not remains to be seen. But the only people saying, oh, he's given his word to Real, he's given the green light to Real, and all the rest of it, are people that are very clearly on the Real Madrid payroll. Because this is exactly the method they used on Camavinga. Now, it's likely he still goes there, because the bottom line is, Real will find the money. So if we bid 50 million for him, and Real have to match that, and they know he'll pick them, Real will find the money, even if they'd rather pay, I think it's 35. But, again, just a little bit more patience. A little bit more patience. There doesn't need to be deals done the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th of July. There just doesn't need to be. Like, the squad is pretty strong. Yes, it needs work. We need a new left back. We could use one more centre back. We need a defensive midfielder. And ideally, you would add a winger. And we'll need at least one goalkeeper, probably a third choice. But that's fine. Like, those deals can come together pretty quickly. We likely have extensive lists of 6, 7, 8 players for each position. And it'll just be a matter of whittling those down, speaking to agents, figuring out what deals we can do, what deals can't be done. When we hear of a deal, Liverpool are planning to move for yada yada, that means the deal will be close to done. That's just how it's going to work. There won't be the noise that we've had in previous years. Yesterday, went over each Premier League team, one player that I'd take from each. So today, I'm going to do the Bundesliga. Let's see. We're again going to go alphabetically. So Augsburg will be first. Actually, this is not alphabetic. Well, it kind of is, but it's not really. We're going to go alphabetically. This is basically listed on where the teams are based, more so than the actual name of the team. So FC Augsburg are first. Truthfully, there's going to be quite a few of these Bundesliga clubs that I don't think there's anybody that makes sense for us, because there's a lot of mediocre Bundesliga teams right now. I would suggest, it's a shame Arne Meyer just didn't develop, because he looked a really promising player when he was at Hertha Berlin. I don't know if he was injured last year, but he didn't play a whole lot. Arne Ingels, he's a talented young player, came through at Bruges. He can play right back, right midfield, central midfield, play as a winger. Demirovic, the striker, was their top scorer, but I don't think he's good enough. We'll go with Arne Meyer from Augsburg. He'll be our pick. We're going to try and pick somebody from each of them. Right. Union Berlin. Renault, the goalkeeper's pretty solid. I wouldn't say no to him as a backup goalkeeper. He's pretty solid. Diogo Leite is an interesting centre-back, but he hasn't quite developed the way he was expected to. When he came through at Porto, he was like the next big Portuguese centre-back. But Union bought him for $7.5 million last summer. He is pretty good, but he's never made the breakthrough to the senior national team. Juranovic, we have good options at right back, so we don't need him. I do like Robin Gosens, but not that much. Lucas Tassard, no. Do you know what? We'll go with Renault as a backup goalkeeper. He is pretty solid, so yeah, I think he'll do just fine. Bochum. This is going to be tough. Bernardo's okay, but not good enough. Daniel Suarez, no.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, how to get 30, how to get 20, 20, 20, how to get 20, 20, how to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
This is not a great squad at all, is it? Felix Paslick was a favourite of Klopp's when he was coming through the Dortmund academy, but never developed into the player he was expected to be. Kevin Stoger's good, but he's too old. Sensi is not good enough. Takuma Asano, the Japanese forward, he's pretty good, but don't think he's quite good enough for us. I actually don't think he's near good enough for us. Masovic played centre-back and played defensive midfield. If we didn't have Endo, he'd make sense as a squad player, because he could be your fifth centre-back and your backup defensive midfielder. I'm struggling here now, to be honest, with Bochum. I think Tim Orman, the young centre-back, is probably the one to go with. It's slim pickings, though. Bremen are up next, and I think centre-back again. Julian Malatini, the young Argentine, arrived in January. He was very impressive across the back half of the season, so I'd probably go with him, unless I can sell you on Naby Keita, the revenge tour, which I don't expect that I can. But yeah, I think Malatini is the one to go with from Bremen. Get the next few up here. Darmstadt. Wow. Right. See, it has to be someone that makes sense as well, because, you know, there's no point in buying players in positions where we already have a bunch of players. There isn't a great amount of talent at Darmstadt. Skark is too old. Malin's decent. Kemp is decent. They were dreadful last season and got relegated at the bottom of the table. They took 17 points. So it may not sit all that well. If we were to sign players from a club that was relegated from the Bundesliga, might play it safe again and just go centre-back. Christoph Klauer. The primary reason, he is homegrown because he was in the Southampton Academy for 4 years before he turned 20. Yeah, we'll go with Christoph Klauer. Dortmund, there's loads of players at Dortmund that we take. Gregor Kobel, if he wanted to be a backup goalkeeper. Nico Schlotterbeck, without question. And you just get him and you figure it out. I mean, would you gamble a lot of Yemi? He has very much flattered to deceive. I do like Duranville. Emre Can, the return? No. Abdoulaye Kamara, the young midfielder, probably a bit small. Nickel Schlotterbeck. We'll go with him. He's the obvious one. No point in overthinking it. Eintracht Frankfurt. Let's see. William Pacho's the clear standout, but is there anyone else that could make sense? He's Elias scary, but he's too old. I think it is just Pacho, isn't it? It is just Pacho. He's really good though, so you'd be happy if we signed him. Freiburg. There's a couple of good players at Freiburg. The goalkeeper's really good. Adebola. He could be one that you look to bring in and develop behind Ali. He's really, really good. Dillia, the right back, is really good, but we're in a good position with a right back, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for us to do that. I've liked Roland Salai, but I don't think he's quite good enough. Merlin Roll is probably too. Well, he is 21. He's big and he's strong. You could convert him into a defensive midfielder. He played there a bit for Ingolstadt. Merlin Roll might be the one. Yeah, we'll go Merlin Roll. Heidenheim. We'll look at the next couple too. Heidenheim. Who have you got for us that would make sense? Probably no one, realistically. No. No. I'm thinking it's going to be a no. But I have to pick somebody. So, Heringer, he's pretty good. He's not quite good enough, but he's pretty good. But this is slim pickings at Heidenheim, who are a very small club, it's worth remembering, and have a very, very small budget that they have to operate under. Paul Vander's only there on loan, so he doesn't count. Can't use him. The one guy they had, clean days, he's too old and he was 28, so he wouldn't have worked for us, but he's gone to Mönchengladbach. No. I would just say Piringer and we'll move on, because there isn't really anybody there that would make sense for us in any real way. Hoffenheim. Ozan Kabak? No? Didn't think so. Bit of Wout Weghorst? He's only there on loan, to be fair. Max Bayer is the one. Yeah, Max Bayer is the one. He's the one that would make sense. Can play across the forward line. Quick, skillful. Was really good last year. 16 goals. It's him. Cologne. Well, they were relegated. And pretty dreadful. So it's going to be hard to really find anybody that makes a ton of sense from them. Marvin Schwab would be a no. Timo Hubers would be a no. This is grim. These are grim pickings. Eric Martel is probably the only one there. the defensive midfielder. He's only 22, so you wouldn't have too much of the stench on him of a nasty relegation. But yeah, we'll go with Eric Martel. Leipzig, there is a bounty of players that would make a ton of sense for us. A lot of people like Luis Openda. A lot of people like Danny Olmo. I think Baumgartner and Seevold are both really good players as well, but Lukeba is the answer. He's everything you would want in that left back role. He's really, really good. Bayer Leverkusen. We're gonna avoid the obvious one, which is Florian Wirtz, because there is zero chance that he leaves this summer. Piero Hincapié makes a lot of sense for us. I know a lot of people like Palacios in midfield, but he is injured quite a lot, and that is of a concern. We've been linked to Kasuna this summer. We've been linked to Tapsoba in the past. A lot of people like Boniface. Frimpong is interesting, but doesn't really make sense if you're playing a back four. So we'll just go with Hincapié as the one that makes the most sense there. Mainz are a terrible set of lads. I do not promote signing anybody from them. So Sepp Vandenberg was in their squad last year. We're just going to go with him. We're going to move rapidly along to Borussia Mönchengladbach. I mean, Manu Kone is outstanding. He did have a number of injuries last year, though. So that's a concern. I would say Rocco Reitz is the one there. Now, I don't think him and Alexis works in a double pivot, but you could play Alexis as a 10. According to Arne in his press conference today, he plays 4-3-3, but I mean, I suppose it's open to interpretation as to how you count players, because he might look at it that he does play three midfielders, he just uses one of them advanced, and he uses three forwards, he just uses wingers a bit deeper than what we are used to seeing in a 4-3-3. Rocco's really good, so we'll go with him, although I do love Manu Kone. Like, Manu's excellent. He just struggles to stay fit. Bayern Munich. Musiala is the obvious one. I mean, he stands at a mile. We are basing this on last year's squads, by the way, and last year's teams in these divisions. I really like Matthias Tell. I think there's a potential star there. So I'll go with him. I'll go with Matthias Tell, because obviously there's little to no chance that you are going to be able to pluck Alphonso Davies, who has made it pretty clear he wants to go to Real. And I just don't see any real possibility. Maybe. I mean, he is refusing a contract, Musiala. I just don't see any real possibility that we'd be able to get him. So we'll go Matthias Tell. Stuttgart and Wolfsburg are our two remaining groups. Poor old Stuttgart are getting decimated. Their squad from last year is being picked apart pretty rapidly. We've already seen Ito go. It looks almost certain like Anton will leave. It looks very much like Guirassi's going to leave. I really like Enzo Malo, the midfielder. I might be pronouncing his name wrong. I really like him. I think he's really fun. Angelo Stiller's really good as well. Again, I don't know about him and Alexis as your kind of deepest two midfielders. It's a pretty strong squad last year. And what I really like about Hoynes is how much he changes the team, because he keeps everybody really fresh. Chris Furyk is an interesting player, but I don't think he makes a ton of sense for us. I'll go with Enzo Malo. I think he's a lot of fun, so I'll pick him. And Wolfsburg. Now, Maxence Lacroix would make sense because we could use one more body in defence as a centre back who would be pretty cost effective. He's got 1 year left on his current deal, so he's one. Asta Franks would be a gamble. He's very, very talented, but we took a gamble last summer on Gravenberch, so I don't think we'll do that again. Yannick Gerhardt is good, but he's too old. He's always injured. Patrick Wimmer. He was very, very talented, but he missed quite a bit of last season through injury. Jonas Wind isn't good enough. I will just go with Maxence Lacroix and stop boring you to tears. This is Anfield have a bunch of stuff up from the press conference. Liverpool confirm 8 first-team players back for pre-season, no Mo Salah. That's not a surprise. So, Bisetic, Bradley, Kwanzaa and Vandenberg train in the mornings. They'll train, this is for today. Those 4 will train this morning. Owen Beck, Curtis Jones, Queeving Callagher and Costa Simicus will train in the afternoon. No Salah, no Endo, no Nat Phillips, no Fabio Carvalho. A bit surprised that Phillips and Carvalho aren't at training. I'd imagine though both of them are probably on the list of players people want to sell. Harvey played a lot last season, so I guess he's just getting a few extra days holiday. And Endo and Salah, I'm not really sure. I assume the same thing. They played a lot. I assume like Bobby Clark is still injured or is still recovering, so that's why he's not there. I'm surprised Tyler Morton. Maybe Tyler Morton isn't counted as a first team player. Same with McConnell. Yeah, anyway. AnfieldWatch.co.uk. New look Liverpool returned to training with transfer hints and squad numbers revealed. Major Liverpool centre-back update. We'll have a look at that. Fabrizio Romano reveals most likely scenario for Liverpool target Joshua Kimmich. He's not a Liverpool target. Well, I'd be shocked if he is. Romano confirms Liverpool deal for Chelsea forward hijacked at 11th hour by City. He doesn't confirm, he just read it on Twitter. We were trying to sign a young forward, McAdoo from Chelsea, and he's gone to City because they offered him a boatload more money. Liverpool not as healthy at left back as you might think. It's time to step up Reine Nuri interest. That is from Sam Maguire. What is here? Oh, this is based on Ben Jacobs talking absolute bobbins, so we can ignore it. Let's see what Fabrizio Romano-based stories Young Dave OC Cup has got going. There's a few bits on the press conference. He talked about Trent and Gakpo, but didn't actually say anything about either of them. He was asked whether the young players would get the same type of minutes as they did last year, and he kind of batted that away and said good players will play, which is really good to hear. Not a whole lot there. There was some nonsense yesterday that we'd made a late attempt to get Mats Wiefer. It was nonsense as expected. He is going to Brighton. Not a player good enough for us. He's a good signing for Brighton. And, that's about the level for him. Right, on AnfieldIndex.com, there is a piece about Arne talking about Cody Gakpo, a couple more pieces about Arne and Richard Hughes and their press conference. There's a piece about Paul Gorst and what he had to say on a recent appearance on the Redmen. And then podcast-wise, we have the daily Euros pods that are coming out on Pro and on EPL Index. There's this, obviously. And myself and Trev are hopefully recording a buzz today. Not quite sure what time that will be at. There will be a podcast on David Lynch talking to Eddie, I think, on the introductory press conference. So keep an eye out for that one. And so that's that. We will continue to get as much out as we can. Obviously, it's just a quiet time at the moment. But sorry, I'm just reading something from Eddie about the podcast with David Lynch. So hopefully that's going to be out today or tomorrow. I'll be doing this tomorrow, so you can look forward to me rambling through another league and trying to find players that could be of interest. Might do La Liga tomorrow. And then Guy will be here on Sunday. I'll be back Monday, and we'll go from there. Right, folks, enjoy your weekends, and I will speak to you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Sports Social Podcast Network.